Hello out there. My name is Laulu Akode and you are on to Inside Sources. And here is my take for the day entitled, Let Us Take Ourselves Seriously, Please. Our challenges as a people are so deep that for the most part, we don't take ourselves seriously anymore as a people. But we need to start doing that. We need to start taking ourselves seriously again. Let me illustrate with some recent news developments. Number one, the news breaks that a male Nigerian by the name Bobrisky, who says he is female, got into trouble with the law and is jailed. After spending time in jail, he is released. And the next thing we hear is that while he was in prison, he was actually not in prison. He allegedly told tales of how he snuck away from jail to a private apartment where he served time. That means that he said, according to the claim, that he was not actually in jail. So the entire nation is alarmed, and the Interior Minister who runs the prison system suspends the prison officials who were in charge of the center while investigations were being conducted. Then the National Assembly also delved into the matter, and the suspended officers, the correctional officers involved, they showed up in the parliament wearing their official uniforms. Now, this prompted a federal lawmaker to ask why suspended officers were wearing the uniform. The response he got from one of them was not what he bargained for. According to the Deputy Controller, Michael Onanuga, he said before our very eyes on national television that the suspension was only, and to quote his word, to use his exact word, a social media suspension.
Are you on suspension? You said yes. It's social media suspension.
Since then, we have had little or nothing about any sanctions imposed either by the National Assembly or the Minister of Interior on this kind of reckless behavior. Calls by the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, URIWA, that there ought to be consequences for this kind of a thing has fallen on deaf ears so far. Why? Because we don't take ourselves seriously anymore. The next illustration is also in the National Assembly or related to it. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, which is currently being led by one of Nigeria's most patriotic public officers, retired General Buba Marwa, said a serving senator has harbored in his residence 2 people who were found with controlled substance. The Senator Oyilola Ashiru, has denied wrongdoing. But 2 important things stand out here. One, in the view of this senator that is involved, NDLA is not performing up to par. But that is not what we know publicly. If we are to go by simple public image and reputation, NDLA under Marwa has more credibility than the Nigerian Senate as things stand today. And that's my view. And it is because we don't take ourselves seriously anymore, that is why a senator in his remarks will be trying to afflict the reputation of a performing NDLA. That's what we have. When Marwa took over NDLA, he resurrected a comatose agency. We have seen breakthroughs. We have witnessed the kind of drug trafficking fight that we have not seen before in this country. So anyone trying to suggest otherwise cannot have our understanding. The second point on the matter, our good friend, the Senate President, that is Senator Bayo, in supporting his co-senator over this matter, confused parliamentary speech privileges with outright immunity. If indeed the NDLA can show conclusive proof that Senator Ashiru harbored drug traffickers, there are no and there should be no privileges for such an act because it breaks the law. Mr. Senate President, please, enough of the joke. It is because we don't take ourselves seriously anymore that several parliamentary oversight in this country is now perceived as crass opportunities for a shakedown. But on the flip side, and on a very inspiring note, the governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, soon after Inside Sources commentary entitled Leave EFCC Alone, has suspended the Attorney General of the state for joining the Supreme Court suit against EFCC without due approval. God bless the governor. He is taking things seriously as he should. How can a state attorney general go and join such a sensitive case without the express approval from his governor? We couldn't even imagine that this was possible at all. The suspended Benue State Attorney General is another example of how we don't take ourselves seriously anymore in this country. But thank God, he has a governor to straighten him out. And there you have it. Inside Sources, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I have a very special guest as we continue our conversation on the future of Nigeria. My guest is currently the presidential spokesperson, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources, Mr. Bayo Onanuga.
Thank you. I'm most pleased to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. And, I wanted to make a point that, the reason why I came to the news in 1990 was because of your courage. I've told a lot of people, but I've not told you, it's your courage, to be able to stand for what is right and to refuse to buckle at the time when we were fighting the military. So it's good to have you on Inside Sources decades after, Thank you for coming. So
I will also say that I have not changed a bit.
To open up, I'd like you to make an assessment of where you think the country is today, and if, in your view, you think that we are already on that path to that great Nigeria that we all believe, and then, of course, we take it from there.
Let me proceed from the program of this administration. It was not for a joke that the president canvassed for votes on the basis of what we call renewed hope agenda. And the renewed hope agenda, in terms of the economy, in terms of where the president wants to take the country to, he's been talking about taking our country, building our economy to about $1 trillion, our GDP to $1 trillion. Right. And that's what he keeps working at. And if you look at the way government is doing the policies being performed, being introduced and implemented, that is our goal, to build a bigger economy that is diversified, that's not just oil-based, but is multifaceted and that can add value to that economy. So that is the goal. And the government is on course to building that kind of economy. And even if you look at recent trends from the balance of trade, and we have recorded 2 surpluses, the first quarter, second quarter this year. And what it shows is that we are not even making much money from oil, but the surplus came from other sectors, non-oil sectors. That's where the surplus came from. We show that something is going on. And then you look at what the president also introduced. All over the world now, generally they're saying we should move away from fossil fuel. And this president is implementing a program that says, look, vehicles can operate using compressed natural gas. It's a big job, and we are at it. You can see in driving that mission, that vision, the president some few days ago met NIPCO, officials of NIPCO. It's one of the major companies that is also investing in that vision. Because we want to make sure that in the next few months or so, about 1 million vehicles are using CNG.
Across the country. Across
the country. We have over 12 million vehicles here. But that's a start. And we believe that if other private sector people also join implementing this idea, in 2 years, we should be able to have like a quarter of the 12 million vehicles we have in Nigeria to drive on using CNG. So we are managing energy transition. And most of our people are not even seeing that this country is already implementing a new paradigm of energy, not just wholly based on fossil fuel, but gas. Nigeria is more of a gas country than an oil country. And this president is now saying, look, let's focus more on gas. There are a lot of investment going into that sector. And I believe, and this government believes, that in a few years, people will see the direction the country is actually going. Many of our people are not seeing it. And that's quite unfortunate. Even some of the critics in the media, they are not even seeing those things, that the country is already moving into a new direction that I believe at the end of the day will be to the benefit of our people. We make our country more prosperous, and we make, of course, the people also we feel the impact of that prosperity.
Interesting. So quite a few issues I'd like to follow up. So I was listening to NTA News, I think about 2 weeks ago, and the president of the Road Transport Workers was saying that regarding the CNG, that they had been promised by the CNG office that they will do maybe a certain percentage to help them convert their vehicles. But as 2 weeks ago, the man was saying on NTA, that they hadn't seen anything. So my question is that this CNG thing is quite, very useful, no doubt about that. But the urgency has been very slow coming.
What happened was this. I think the president, first of all, set up the presidential CNG initiative,
right,
I think sometime in August last year. And for months, that committee could not work because of bureaucracy. In anger, the president summoned the civil servants, all the PAMSECs, to a meeting at the villa and pointedly told them that they are trying to sabotage or slow down this administration, especially on the CNG program. Procurement delays and all kinds of things. Even the initial procurement that, look, we want to bring in starter kits and all those things.
Yeah.
It was locked down somewhere. No progress. Not until that meeting do you begin to see some move.
No progress.
And because of the delay, and because the exchange rate was also getting bad and so on,
right,
some of the initiatives they wanted, the prices have ballooned beyond the budget initially approved for them. So that delayed it. But things are getting better. As I said, the private sector people are also joining in. And it's not only government that should do it.
Right,
the private sector will also join.
Yeah.
And once I'm showing this, they will see the investment there and the profit there. Once they find that everybody is trying to also up on this CNG initiative.
Right. So you said that we should attain 1 million vehicles by the end of this year.
That is for the PCNG. That is their goal, to do 1 million. Once we have other actors,
right,
the private sector, we should do far more than that.
Oh, okay. So the target of 1 million vehicles is actually the PCNG, the presidential office.
We are expecting, once investments are coming in, and investments actually coming in.
Like NIMCO
is investing, some other people are also investing to make sure that we can drive this thing as quickly as possible. Look, a country like Iran is an oil-producing country. I think that at the last count some years ago, the number of vehicles they have running on CNG was over 4 million. In Iran, oil producing like Nigeria.
Yeah.
So India is even far ahead of Iran. India is not oil producing, but they also have many of their vehicles running on CNG. And it's cheaper. Clearly. It's cheaper, it's safer than petrol. And that's, as I said, that's the mission. As I said, what we are going through is a kind of energy transition. And our people should be able to see it. And I think the next phase of this thing is that we find, because what the PCNG has been doing is to convert commercial vehicles to use CNG, doing it free for them. Very soon they're going to call you and say, look, you have to drop down the prices by which you charge commuters. So that will again bring some relief. And that's the point I was actually making, that the commercial transport workers are the ones that made that view just a couple weeks back, so that if that is done, it will help to drop the transport. They even did one recently from Abuja to Itakwe in Kogi State, asking them to drop. And they did. Okay. All right. So still on the future of the country, the worry is the pains and the hardship for now that a lot of people see.
that has arisen from some of the top decisions that the president has taken?
Let me explain that.
Okay.
You see, in this country, maybe because we've had very long years of military rule, our attention seems always solely focused on the federal government. Federal, everything federal. There's no light in the state, federal. The roads are bad, federal. We cannot continue on that, with that kind of thought, that kind of mindset. If you look at even the revenue that all the tiers of government share every time, the federal government really takes, if you look at it, they will say federal government takes 52%, but when you look at it, if you remove 13% derivation, all the other funds set aside, what the federal government actually takes is not 52%. It's 52% of net of certain deductions already made.
Okay.
So,
well, like 30%.
The other people, the other parts of the other tiers have taken 48%. They take 48%. We keep wondering why Nigerians are not focusing on the people holding 48%. And we always focus on the tier that is holding 52%. And if we really want to make a big leap in our country, the subnationals must really wake up. Can you imagine, in this entire country, only Lagos State has urban transport system. Only Lagos State. Just a few weeks ago, Abia State opened its first bus stop. Abia State.
Bus stop construction.
Construction. It's first. According to what I read in social media, the first one. When I was growing up, when I was in Ibadan in the 70s, in the 74, 75, I remember in Oyo State, Ibadan then, the former capital of the Western region, had urban transport system.
True.
Today, there's nothing like that.
So there's too much.
Only Lagos has it. So if we want to even do things to help our people transport-wise, you cannot do it because it's only Lagos that can do it. And you can see Lagos at times announcing that it wants to give a 50% discount to commuters because it has a system where this thing can be done. So you can see in the president's last broadcast on October 1st, he challenged the state, look, the federal government is ready to assist them to do urban transport, to assist them acquire CNG vehicles and run urban transportation. That's where you can bring much relief to the commuters living in the states. Even in terms of intra-city or intra-town transport, once the state invests in that area, everything will come down. The state should grow food. They should be growing food. They should be involved a lot in agriculture. They can't just say, oh, only federal. Every time they're waiting federal going to give them fertilizer, to give them plows and tractors and everything. No. Actually, we are running a federal structure, and everybody should be involved. And you can even see the direction the government wants our country to take by fighting for financial autonomy to the councils. 7 for local councils. If they are empowered, financially empowered, they can take much relief away from even the states and the federal. At their level, they can build roads, they can build hospitals, they can. In fact, they used to pay. This council used to pay teachers. They used to be in charge of their primary school and everything. But many things have gone wrong, and that's what this president is trying to rectify, to make sure that we really put the country on the pedestal of where it should be.
I think a good number of Nigerians understand some of the hard decisions that are to be taken, removal of subsidy, and trying to regularize the forex markets into one, although some people say that, okay, if we are going to float it, let's manage it. All of that is still within limits of debate by reasonable people. What I think is difficult for people to understand is what they seem to see that the federal government and the president have not shown enough sensitivity to the plight of the people. So the people are being asked that, look, things are difficult. We have to take this hard decision. We have to remove subsidy, which has led to a lot of pain. But they see the president buying a new jet. They see the president approving billion to build a new house for the vice president and some other stuff. That's the question, Mr. Onanuga. How do you respond to this perception of insensitivity?
Well, I would not call it insensitivity. I would say all those items you mentioned, not a new jet, the president don't buy a new jet. What he has is a refurbished jet. It has been used by somebody else before he got it. I said that it's a much newer model than the one that President Buhari left behind. And the one President Buhari used was actually bought by President Obasanjo 20-something years ago, in fact, about 20 years ago. So, and if you also recall, there was a time the president went to Saudi Arabia. That plane developed some problems, and the president had to leave either in a charter jet or maybe they sent for the one people were using to take him to where I think it was going to Netherlands, or I think it was going to. So he had to. So, and that thing has shown that there are problems with the plane, and that was why the president said. And then of course there was a day I talked to the NSA about it. The NSA is in charge of supervising the presidential air fleet. And he said the maintenance cost also has been going up. And that was
because of the age
of the plane, 20-year-old plane. And that was the reason he said, look, it's better for them to acquire another plane so that at least it will reduce the cost of maintenance. I think people should try to prioritize the safety of the president. And I'm not sure anybody really wishes our president to go and crash in the air or something. We want his safety so that he can do his term and hand over to whoever wants to take over after him. So it's safety that was paramount at the back of the mind of the National Assembly that approved it, and the decision to buy that, as I said, not a new plane, but a refurbished plane that has done very well. So that safety was paramount. It's not because the president wants to enjoy himself. No, as some people are saying, that's not the issue. Then if you mention the case of the VP's house, I think this project started during Obasanjo's time, abandoned and everything. And because it was abandoned, you can see what happened. The cost of putting it back to what it should be ballooned. Yeah. But it has to be done. It has been done. So it's not the VP's property. It's the property of the people of Nigeria. People should have it that way. It's not even the plane we are talking about. It's not President Tinubu's plane. It's the plane that belongs to the people of Nigeria. So it's our property. By the time he finishes his term, and if Nigerians want to give him a second term, that plane will be Nigeria's plane. It's not his property.
Okay, right. So still on that issue of that then those stays into government cutting costs. I remember that there was an announcement from the presidency that the president had cut, travel, they reduced the number of people that will go on travel and stuff like that. But since then, we've not had any kind of information from the presidency to tell us, for instance, how much has been saved there. Do we know? Is it working? Are people following through? I think you also made a statement actually this week or a few days ago to say that the number of convoys should be reduced to 3. Now, I mean, these are good measures. My question is that shouldn't we be doing some kind of regular update so that we can inspire the confidence of the people that, okay, the president said that this is the number of people that will be traveling. It was cut by half now, and this is how much has been saved. That kind of, because what I see that is missing is people don't think the government and themselves are on the same boat. And if you keep them updated, you might begin to create that opportunity for us to say, look, okay, we told you this, and this is the progress.
Okay, I take your suggestion. We try to do that to let them know what government is saving by reducing the number of people in their entourage. I mean, the entourage of the president and the VP. But it's something that happened recently. The Onga 79 or so.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
The president was supposed to go there.
Right.
Although at the last minute, he said, no, the VP should go.
Yeah.
If they run up to that Onga, the chief of staff actually came out to say, look, the president has told him that is in conformity to that directive in January,
right,
that X number of people are only allowed to go to hunger. Under this president, the last time about 400 people went to hunger. But if the president had gone to hunger himself, the number was going to be reduced to about 100 and something, about 125 or something like that. The chief of staff clearly stated that anybody who has no business to do in hunger should stay off. So that shows you the desire of government to really cut down on some of this expenditure. I think the president is very conscious of it, and in most of his decisions, sometimes he wants to travel, he says he's not traveling again, because he wants to make sure that at least we cut down the cost of government. But,
you know, just so we land on that issue, the president has a cabinet of 48 or 49. You know, why is he not thinking of how to cut that cabinet? Or does he not consider that that's a significant cost? You know, in your view, it seems to be like that, certainly.
You know, the Constitution says at least you should pick a minister from each state, and one from each city. Yeah. So that is 37.
Yeah.
So we are talking about him having, I think, 47 cabinet members. Some of those ministries are so critical, and some of the things they do there, they are so important to his agenda that he cannot but say, let's have 2 people there. Mm-hmm. So that's what is going on. And then, of course, politics is a politician.
Yeah.
Sometimes he needs to meet the needs of his political allies. He cannot just say, because the Constitution says he must pick minimum of 1 from each state and 1 FCT, that cannot add to that number. So that's what he has done. If you look at the oil sector, this government, more than previous government, is paying more attention to gas. Yeah. So he has a gas minister. And the appointment has been justified. There are a lot of activities going on in that gas sector. Mm. One of them is the CNG thing, and then a lot of investments in the gas sector. So you can see that there's a logic in it, that this thing is very sensible. That's why he created it. Mm. Now, look at the Ministry of Finance. We have a Minister of State has now been appointed. The Minister of Finance is big.
Huge.
It's big. And it has many agencies under it.
Right.
So whoever is there, if he's not assisted, he can be overwhelmed. And he has done it to, let's have 2 ministers in that place. Mm. So if you look at housing too, I think as a Minister of State now, this government is embarking on a very, very vast housing project all over the country. So it needs at least not 1 person, 2 persons to handle it. So that's why you find him appointing, because of the scope of work they are doing and everything, that 1 person cannot do it. It needs to be assisted.
Mm. Okay, all right. So since we're now on the cabinet stuff, have you seen the video of Asari Dokubo, raising hell over, apparently, and of course, even more so, Chief Edwin Clark, over the renaming of Niger Delta Ministry into regional development? They call it a scrapping of Niger Delta Ministry. What's your response to that?
Well, I think...
and they are saying that the president is like marginalizing, the Niger Delta. That's what they're saying.
That's an unfair comment to me by Asari Dokubo. If you had thought about it very well, you find that nothing has really changed. The ministry has just been renamed, Regional Development Ministry, so Ministry of Regional Development. Integrating the whole Niger Delta Ministry and now adding more functions, that because there are other commissions, other regional commissions have been set up, like Southeast Commission, like North, but they don't have North Central yet. I'm sure I'm going to have it. Northeast, Northwest, Southwest. Some of them have not even really taken off, but envisaging their takeoff, that's why say let's have a ministry that we can take care of all of them. So it's not a big deal. I said the Niger Delta is also we still have for Niger Delta the amnesty program, well funded, still taking care of militants and so on. And then of course the NDDC is there to continue to perform its function. So I think Mr. Dokubo maybe I believe he got things wrong. Just being sentimental This president is not an enemy of Niger Delta. He's a friend of Niger Delta, and he's doing a lot of things to make sure that that area that produces a lot for this economy is well taken care of.
So Chief Edwin Clark said that they still want the Niger Delta Ministry to stay, and they consider it some kind of that there were no consultations with them before this was done.
Well, it's a matter of style. I'm sure if they ask the president why he did it, he will explain it to them. I said they've lost nothing. What the president has done is to expand the scope of that original ministry. They've lost nothing. There's nothing for them to be worried about. Nothing at all.
Okay. All right. So let's move to political reforms. In 2007, after what was clearly a controversial election, President Yar'Adua came out to say that, look, I'm going to try and fix our electoral system, and he set up the waste panel. I wanted to know, is the president thinking of further, deepening the electoral reforms in the country? For instance, during the last election, people are saying, okay, the issue of electronic voting is not mandated, and people thought that, okay, maybe that will help us, to make our electoral system more legitimate. What are your views on this?
Well, my personal views.
Yes, yes. I mean, except you have discussed it with the president also, that let us know.
Yeah, no, we have never discussed something like this. Okay. But I think our electoral system keeps improving. Everything has not been static. It's INEC that has been saddled with that responsibility. And I believe INEC is doing its best to make sure that it cleans up the system and so on. And you can see recently, people believe that INEC is doing a better job when people were advocating that INEC should take over conducting election even at the local council level. What has been worrisome for me is that many of our governors are now not allowing democracy to thrive at the council level.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they are doing so. The only governor who allowed it to thrive was Governor Nasiru El-Rufai. Under him, you find non-APC parties winning council elections. We should begin to see things like that at the local council level. If you are party in democracy, you must allow it to grow right from the grassroots. And I hope a lot of them, I hope they will have a rethink that they don't need to capture all their local council structure because they want to have control, but allow democracy. Should be the kind of the laboratory for democracy. Let them allow it to thrive. Let them allow it to grow from that level.
Yeah, I mean, so I do know that it's INEC that is in charge of the thing, but I wanted to know whether the president will also lead the charge. For instance, this is my view, and then I'll let you comment. We still have a situation where INEC is called Independent National Electoral Commission. But whoever is president, and this is not limited only to President Tinubu, is the one that appoints the chairman of INEC. The waste report said that, it shouldn't be the president appointing the INEC chairman. Of course, President Yar'Adua didn't even accept that. But I think to truly make INEC independent, we should find another way to appoint the chairman of INEC, just to further deepen our democracy.
No, the president only nominates.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we should talk to the National Assembly. The president nominates, and the Senate approves. So it is. I believe it's more incumbent on the Senate to scrutinize anybody being appointed to run INEC. The president's job is just to nominate.
But that doesn't happen a lot, Bros.
I think the ball should be passed to them. They have to do their duty to make sure that the person going there, whether asking whether he knows that he should go and do his job according to the title that has been given, Chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission. I think what you find is just some people get to positions thinking that second guessing the president, thinking that because they were nominated by the president, that he will be delegating them. No. Go there, his job is to nominate, but go there and do the work according to your mandate.
Okay. All right. So you are talking about governance, and I wanted to bring that again very quickly, especially on this issue of local government reforms, and also on the issue of EFCC. So the governors went to court, or no, actually the federal government went to court on the local government reforms, autonomy, financial autonomy, and got the Supreme Court ruling to say that, hey, the money should go directly to the local governments. Now, a lot of the governors are a little bit uneasy about that. And up until now, I think we have about 3 months since the ruling. What is the situation? When will the federal government start sending the money to the local government directly?
The federal government gave them a 3-month window to, first of all, ensure that elected people are in charge of the councils.
Right.
And many of them they've rushed to comply.
Election,
to make sure that at least they have some kind of election in their states. I think it's not a rigid rule that is to be done after 3 months. But I'm sure very soon government will now begin to apply the rule that, look, if the councils are not elected people who do have them in place, they will not send money to them. So, but I said it's not rigid.
Right.
We give them 3 months to comply with the ruling of the Supreme Court, and then I think they will soon review what has happened thereafter.
Okay, so still talking about state government responsibility and stuff. Now, there is the UBEC, the Universal Basic Education Commission, and they have funds that are taken from the Consolidated Revenue Fund to ensure that we have some decent education, primary and secondary, which is what it's called. I think basic is primary and GSS or something like that. Now, but you find out that many states are not able to access those funds because they say they can't come up with matching grants. So as at the last time I checked, there's about 50 billion or between 47 billion and 50 billion of the funds that are available, in the current appropriation, up to this point of the year, that states cannot access. The money is there, the states can't access it. Most primary schools and secondary schools in our country, the public education is gone. Doesn't exist anymore, really. But here in the federal government, the money is sitting down pretty, and state government can't access it. Is it not possible? And this idea came up, during the Buhari administration, but it didn't really go all the way. Is it not possible to find a way to get this money to the states so that they can improve the condition of basic education, and then find ways to get the money, the counterpart funding somewhere down the road? Can we work out some kind of moratorium? So the reason I made that question,
that's a suggestion. But you are touching again on what I discussed earlier, that the states honestly should wake up. Education is very important. Health is very important. So if somebody is offering you, like going to a bank to collect loan, and the bank says, I give you 80%, go and bring your 20%. You want to build a house? So that's what the kind of idea that UBEC is doing. The state should reset their priority and make sure that they focus on education, whatever it takes. Even if they're going to go to the bank and borrow money, let them do it so that the funds that are lying fallow somewhere can be sent to them to use. The law that set up UBEC clearly stated that, look, for everything they want to do, the federal will give you this, then you match the grant. Just like what happens in Nigeria when we want to do some projects and either the lending agency is saying Nigeria must match it. Yeah. Sometimes even as a nation we fail. But if you seriously want that thing to be done, you quickly go and find the money and say, yes, our 15%, bring your fund. So the same thing the states, they just have to reset their priority, and make sure that all those things are done. Okay.
All right. Let's move along to the issue of coordination in government. I dare say that you were brought in to the villa to help, and this is our perception, to help some of the problems, especially in the area of communication. But there is still a lot of ineffective coordination, in my view, in the federal government. And I'll give you an example. So EFCC says that, look, Yahya Bello, former governor of Kogi, is a suspect. He needs to be arrested. EFCC is the one that says they want to arrest the guy. But there is the police and there is the DSS. Yahaya Bello and Governor Ododo, who is protecting Yahaya Bello from arrest, also has police and has DSS operatives with him. Why is it difficult for DSS and the police to work with EFCC to get Yahaya Bello arrested? In my view, it's because there is no coordination. The police and DSS, they are taking it as if, oh, it's EFCC that wants to arrest Yahaya Bello. But in my view, it's the federal government that wants to arrest Yahaya Bello because EFCC is an agency of the federal government. That's an example of, in my view, what I see as there's no effective coordination. What is the chief of staff doing? What is the SDF doing? Somebody must be an enforcer to say that you can't embarrass this nation by making it appear as if you can't even arrest a former governor. So
now, I think it's a bit complicated. Yeah, the FCC is an agency of federal government, and it wants to arrest Yahaya Bello. Yahaya Bello is hiding under the agbada of the governor of Kogi State, his successor, who happens to enjoy immunity. That's the problem. Because if he stays inside Governor Ododo's house, the police cannot do anything because you'll be violating that immunity that the man enjoys. It's just like a diplomat who enjoys certain immunity. You cannot do anything about it. Remember in the UK when they were looking for this man, the WikiLeaks man, and he went to hide in one embassy. In Britain, in London, there was nothing they could do. They left him there. I think one day maybe, I don't know, I forgot what happened now, but I think they later arrested him. Maybe he came out or something and they arrested him. But for several years, the man was holed up in that embassy. So it's the same thing. Ododo enjoys immunity. Yahaya Bello is believed to be hiding there. They cannot storm the place and say they want to arrest him. That's the problem of EFCC. And the police cannot help EFCC. DSS cannot help FCC.
Okay, yeah, but in terms of coordination of government activities, don't you think that the president? Okay, in my view, I think the president needs an enforcer. He doesn't have an enforcer right now. I mean, nobody has stepped up to be an enforcer behind the scene to make sure that stuff is done. I'll give you another example. Now, so the federal government has come up with a lot of bold economic policies, and most people agree. Hey, look, subsidy regime has been horned, it's been corrupted, we are wasting money and all of that. People say, okay, let's do it. But the ministry, that's the Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Ministry, which is where people get a little bit of succor, that ministry was locked up from January up until now. The president just appointed a minister for poverty alleviation. I mean, which is a good thing because we're even hearing rumors that maybe they are going to cancel that place. Now, so what happened to poverty alleviation between that January and now?
Since the first minister was suspended, the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy has already been the person in charge. And from some of his reports, he said he was sending money to, the humanitarian ministry has some subsets of functions under it, that they'll be sending money to some vulnerable people, not in the number that the government would like to do. But I think some of the things that even actually stalled that the activity, the so-called give, was the fact that the government said they must not just send money to anybody blindly. They need to get their national ID number. So people need to register. They need bank accounts and so on. So I think they've been working in collaboration with the NIMC, the National Identity Management Commission, to make sure that at least they get, because in the past, they are just, when Shadia was there, I read one report, Shadia took cash to Zamfara State.
Yes, we saw it on TV.
Yeah, it should not be done. So all the government is saying, look, let's do the proper thing. Make sure anybody that's collecting government money is registered as NIN. And I think that's where they are now. But I'm sure by the time the new minister takes office, we will begin to see a lot of activities in that under the monetary ministry.
Yeah. Do you know when the new ministers will be?
No, once their names have gone to the Senate, once they are cleared and they are sworn in, they will start their work.
So I mean, you were also around there in Lagos State. The now president, then governor, had people on his team who including people like you behind the scene, who will go and tell him that, look, this. Is that happening now, Brosby?
It's happening. It's happening. There are times there was a day I went to the president and said, look, do you know that when you approved, I think it was HASU, that the money you said you should pay to HASU, that money has not been paid up. He said, I was telling him, I said, no, it's the truth. Call your minister. And I think he found out that it was true. And I think at the next meeting, effect meeting, he was very angry. I said, this thing must be done. So there's a time lag between announcement and execution. That's why I agree with you. Maybe we need somebody who will ensure that this thing is done promptly. Yeah, to ensure that it's done.
I mean, so I had here the president of HASU several weeks ago, and he said that. So there has been this debate about IPs. I'm sure you're familiar. So the IPs is what federal government used to pay everybody, and it became one of the contentious issues between ASU and the federal government. And federal government said, you know what? All right, look, you guys go and develop your own stuff. They developed UTAS. Now, President Tinubu came in, and I think sometimes in December, FEC said that, okay, take ASU out of IPs. That was in December. But it didn't happen until last week or 2 weeks ago. Just in line with what you just said.
You know why it didn't happen?
Yes.
That's one of the problems of bureaucracy. The office of the SGF was supposed to communicate that decision to the head of service, the woman who has just left.
Yes.
And then the office communicated without attaching the resolution of the Federal Executive Council. So the civil servants say, oh, this is just a mere letter. There's no proof that FEC actually approved this thing.
Can you imagine?
It was when the president was angry at the fact that this came to the open, that was what delayed it. It was communicated without necessary paper backing it up.
Which is a very shoddy thing.
That's bureaucracy for you. That's the problem.
Yeah. Huh. Anyway, so, to the credit of the president, a lot of the times when these things are brought to him, he sort of gets the solution. But just like we have said, and I think we both agree that it does need, people that enforcing. So. Because based on my own experience too, because I can tell you that the president can want to do a lot of things to the extent that he cannot get up himself to be going all over the place. There must be people whose job it is to follow up.
It's just, for example, appointed an enforcer on Nigeria-China relationship.
Yeah, I saw that.
Somebody to monitor that specifically.
Yeah.
So I think it needs more enforcers like that to ensure that government policies are really done the way he wanted it to be done.
All right. I would like us to also talk about Nigeria's unity. As we know, of course, we are multi-ethnic and then essentially African traditional religion, Muslim and Christian. But my point is that, it's a tension line. And then our ethnicity is also a tension line. And I want to ask you this. A lot of people have said that you have been very, very hard on the Igbos, especially in Lagos. And I wanted to ask you that, while you are entitled to your own private personal views, don't you think that you need to also be a little calm, in reflecting it now that you are a presidential spokesperson? Brosby.
Well, at the time that I said what people have been piloting me about, I was not a presidential spokesperson. But honestly, I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
Because my position was misunderstood. But as a Nigerian, I'm very, very much aware about all our ethnic cleavages and so on, regional cleavages, and sometimes whatever you say. But recently, something happened. I tweeted something about this regional development Ministry of Regional Development.
Right.
And of course, when you tweet, you'll be tweeting in a hurry or something like that. Right. And I omitted South-East Development Commission. Somebody now said, a friend of mine called and said, you know what they are saying on our platform? And they are saying, this is a proof that this man hates the Igbo. That's a lie. That's not true. I don't hate them. They are fellow Nigerians. I don't hate anybody. So that's again misinterpreted. That's why I said I don't want to talk about this issue anymore.
And the reason why I brought up that is that, like I said at the beginning of the program, we work together at the news, and I know the kind of regard you have for Ike Okonta, and a few other, so I know that, I don't see you as the person that we hate, but of course some of the tweets, especially in terms of the election, have been a lot of very emotional, and it's good that, you clear that. But I wanted to also ask on the question of the place of the elite in Nigeria's politics. You're a journalist, a lot of us work with you. The political elite in Nigeria seems to be very, very much about personal aggrandizement. A lot. For instance, look at the National Assembly. You raise the issue that, for instance, the president makes a nomination, they should scrutinize it. That rarely happens. Compared to a place like the US, when somebody is going to be a justice or even a minister, the kind of...
Who should we blame for that?
That's what I'm saying. It's the political elite, because now
it's not just,
you have a large number of them in the assembly.
It's not just the elite, but even we, the followers, the non-elite. The people who make decisions, who vote, go to the polling station and elect those people there. Somebody says he wants to go to the National Assembly or a senator, people should begin to ask questions. What's he going to do there? Does he have what it takes to actually be a senator? If you compare the quality of people going to national, even to our parliaments, as at the state level or federal level, they are not as good as people that we elected in 1979-83.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, they're not as good. But I'm not saying everybody is bad in National Assembly.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we, the people, as voters, we should begin to scrutinize those we elect to go and make laws on our behalf.
Okay. Maybe the last question, because our time is fast spent. I wanted to ask you, are we going to get a new constitution under the presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Are we going to get a restructuring? There is a lot of buzz, especially on social media, of regional structure and everything. One Mr. Fakunda even stepped up and said that he is the one that is the author of it. He's going to send it to the president, who will send it to the National Assembly. But my question is that, can you give us a guarantee, Mr. Onanuga, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will restructure Nigeria?
Well, I think, let me say, to some extent, he's trying to do so. For instance, state police, the National Council, so the Council of State.
Yeah.
No, not Council of State, the governors under the National Economic Council.
Yeah.
They are discussing it. I think the last time the VP gave a report that some states have not turned in their report about what they want to do. So that's on course. They need to have state police. It's one of the things people have been talking about, that we should not just have a federal police anymore. Yeah. We should have state police. You look at councils. By saying that, insisting that the councils should have financial autonomy from the state, is trying to make sure that that type of government really exists. And we need it to really make sure that this country develops. If nothing is happening, in fact, what you find that people have read reports where people say we have a lot of banditry or insurrection in some states because most of the local council spaces have been left ungoverned because there's no government going on there. No governor, because the councils have no money.
Yeah.
The states have taken all their money.
Right.
So whoever is the chairman, just every month, he will collect his salary and go and sit down. If it's in Maiduguri, you go and sit down there.
Right.
If it's in Lagos or let's say Ogun, you go to Abeokuta House, just start enjoying yourself because there's nothing happening at the council level. So it's some kind of restructuring. If the governors, I want to appeal to the governors to allow the councils to really to breathe, as you say, to let them give them the financial power to be able to run that level of governance. We need it.
Is there going to be an executive bill on the issue of restructuring new constitution?
No, I'm not aware of it. But I think Senate President Bayo and the House of Reps Speaker, Mr. Tajun Abbas, they've been doing a lot of work about looking at, I think they've done several hearings about how to look again at the constitution so they can do whatever amendments they need to make.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, for coming to Inside Sources.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the work that you do. Very controversial, very tough. But we wish you all the best. And thank you for your contributions even today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. That is why we are here. We believe it. And by the grace of God, Nigeria will prevail. This country will be that great nation that we all dream of. Thank you for watching. My name is Laulu Akonde, and I'll see you again on Friday.